Hello. So, welcome back to today's Bible study. And I don't know about you guys, but it's starting to get cold where I'm at. Shotgun season has just ended. And I tell you what, it's been a hot minute since I've picked up the camera, but I am doing my best to make sure that I am getting out a video a week for you guys every Monday morning. It's the day before Monday morning. But I've had a lot of really good nuggets that I just can't wait to share with you guys this week. I'm going to tell you now, I'll be taking snippets out of a book that I picked up last month at the youth rally that our oldest participates in, and our three oldest participate in helping their older brother study that way he can get some good practice in before he goes down to compete with the other kids that are his age, and the younger two get to learn what it's going to take to get it done now rather than later. But shameless plug, this book. I love this book. The 21 Tenets of Biblical Femininity. And I'm here to tell you what, I'm going to start this off with a random tangent. I am taking back the word feminist because today's word feminist isn't actually about empowering women anymore. It's about destroying womanhood. So I've said it since I was a little kid, being told by multiple people, I don't even know what that word means. Which back then, no, I didn't. But I stand by it. I am a feminist. But yeah, God did call us out to be actual feminist, and in this book it walks you through how. And we're actually going to talk about one of the chapters because for the last year and a half I've been stuck on this one verse, and I didn't even know that this one verse was in this book until a couple days ago when my head went because I saw it and then I read into it. Two words stuck out to me. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is we are going to talk about how a young lady is strongly elegant. And it starts off the chapter with Psalms 144:12, that our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth, that our daughters may be as cornerstones, polished after the similitude of a palace. See, I always skip to the polished after the similitude of a palace. I always glanced over the cornerstone. So, marble, we know a lot of things about. And in this chapter, if you read it, I'm not going to read it for you just because of copyrights and things like that. But I will go to, hang on, this website. I will try to link it for you. It's not sponsored. I'm not going to get paid for it whatsoever. I love recommending good things to you guys. I will forever. So anyway, I will link this book. It's like $6. Seriously. I paid $1 for it because it was the old cover, but it's $6. But anyway, and it's all about what it takes to be a lady. And today we're going to look at Tenet 18, being strong, elegantly strong. Because the word cornerstone. Well, first off, we know that marble is one of the strongest pieces of rock that you can purchase. And on top of that, it is notorious for being very, very pretty. Very pretty. And so, ladies, yes, we are supposed to look pretty. And whatever that means to you, as long as it lines up with the Bible, I don't care. Does that mean 5 pounds of makeup? I think that might be stretching it a bit far, but by all means, now, I will say that it is also incredibly strong. Just like cedar is incredibly strong. If I were to take a piece of marble and drop it on the concrete, it's going to break. But guess what? The cedar won't. But if you light the cedar on fire, it burns, but the marble won't. Men and women are meant to complement each other. And now, let's talk about the cornerstone. A cornerstone handles a lot, like the weight of the structure. It also is the things by which things are aligned. So, if the Bible says we are meant to be the cornerstone of our families, think about that. That's a great, tremendous pressure. You know what I mean? It just is. And a good cornerstone is the foundation of each strong construction. Look at 1 Peter 3:7. Look at Proverbs 31:25. Strength and honor are her clothing. And it even goes so far as to say is either I'm not sure who wrote this chapter. I know that both the husband and the wife wrote this book, but one of them grew up on a farm. And they will tell you that there's not much that can't be done in a skirt. And my guess is it was probably the wife that wrote this chapter. Because there's a lot of things in here that you can tell, yep, woman definitely wrote that. Or, yeah, guy wrote that. But, maybe his wife toned it down, whatever. Because we speak different languages. And we have different things that get our attention. And what I love about this book is it doesn't put a wet blanket on a woman's ability. It actually removes the chains that today's society has put on what we would consider a delicate church lady. I'm here to tell you they don't exist. Because most pastors' wives end up having to do the bulk of the coordinating or the work or whatever. And there is not always such thing as that's a man's job. While there are some things that are, biblically speaking, a guy's supposed to do it, but if there's no guy around to do it, you're elected. One of my roles as a wife is to help my husband with his appliance business. What does that look like? Moving refrigerators, washers, dryers, and whatever else he thinks to bring in and help somebody move around, whatever. These things are often heavy and difficult to do. So what do? Do it. I've always been a tomboy, and I've always had this stigma from ladies that you shouldn't do that. That's a man's work. Well, yeah, it is. But when my husband says he needs help and he doesn't have anybody around to give him a hand, guess what? That is biblically my responsibility. And back in Genesis, it says God gave us to man to be his help meet. And if you read in the beginning of the book, you'll even see that they say just that thing and they repeat it, but without all the restrictions that men put on it. And by men, I mean mankind. Whether it be the guys, whether it be the girls. And I'm going to tell you what my biggest pet peeve is. Right here, right now. My biggest pet peeve is when I go on a call with Matt and there's a capable guy standing there, or there's a guy standing there, period, and he doesn't offer to step in and help Matt out instead of me. That is my biggest pet peeve. Now, just because he offers doesn't mean I will always accept the help. I use a lot of judgment in whether or not it's a good idea to let a guy step in and take my place. What do I mean by that? With appliances, Matt and I have a system that works flawlessly. And if I let somebody that's not real strong looking, or you can kind of tell when it's not a good idea. Okay, trust me, when you've been around enough people like I have, you know what I'm talking about. The guys that are like, you can't lift a bobby pin, And at that point, I'll be like, no, that's all right. We have a system, and when, something changes, somebody gets hurt, it's usually him up there. Well, he brings in my bread and butter. It's cheaper for me to get hurt than it is for him. So, I won't always accept the help, but it is offensive to me when men don't offer. Now, I've heard some really random excuses, and by random, I mean they're lame. Guys, offer to help, period. And then honor whatever it is her answer is. Do not push, because then you're going to be offensive in the opposite manner. But I will tell you, just offer to help. Because it is offensive, especially to ladies like me that I know that I shouldn't be doing it. I actually have a medical thing where I can't be lifting half the stuff I do anymore, but to not do so is risking injuring my husband. That it is, you know what I mean? Um, and actually, I'll even tell you, like, if I lift anything larger than a standard size refrigerator, I'm likely to pee my pants. Now, I would rather change my clothes than my husband end up in the emergency room. So, if there's not somebody around, or that person that is around that is offered to help doesn't look like they're going to actually be a help, I'll change my clothes. I don't even care. And I keep an extra change in my husband's truck because of that. And he knows it. And he also knows that if I have to use it, he's buying coffee. It's a system that works. But here's the thing, and this is the point that I'm trying to make. Squirrel. Is that men are supposed to offer. And that when they're not there or they're not doing what they're supposed to be, we are to step in and just handle it. Because we're here to be a helpmeet to our husband. We're here to be cohesive and to come alongside our men. That is what we are supposed to do. And you know, when our husbands come home from work and they've had a rough day, guess what? That's our job to sit, listen, and this is the part that gets me every time, is to listen without saying anything and wait for him to tell me what he needs me to do to fix it. Because at the end of the day, most of my husband's problems is getting paid. Hi, I'm the debt collector in our family. I've got a larger success rate getting paid because I'm no fuss, no muss. It's, look, you need to pay me or I can't pay this bill, which means you don't get service anymore. They usually like my husband enough to where they'll cut me a check right then and there. So I get like a 95% collection rate. I don't have much of a problem. Now, on the individual base, we have no such problem. I'll let you be the judge of who, obviously, where that problem lies with, if it's not the individual households. But we have strong construction. First off, women do a lot of things that men can't do. Let's start with childbirth. I've been told by doctors, my last OB, he's like, I don't know how women do this. And what he was talking about is me and another lady, we already had at least one 10-pound baby. But for me, a 10-pound baby is 9 pounds, 15 ounces. 15 or 14. Ma'am, if you're reading this, could you comment? Thanks. Yeah, that close to a 10-pound baby, and he was like a toddler size when he was born. I had to deliver with no drugs. And to me, it was no big deal to, 10 pound, 914, 915, somewhere in there. Why is 1 more ounce the difference between a C-section? I don't know, but that is exactly what that doctor told me, is if it's a 10-pound baby, I'll leave it up to you whether or not we're going to do a C-section. And I kind of looked at him and I'm like, okay, we can get a fetal weight because I like looking and hearing heartbeat. I like that. But I looked at her and go, unless it's like a massively big difference, probably not gonna opt for the C-section, And he's like, I don't know how women like you do it. Because he knew that I already had one with no drugs that was that big. And I had 3 boys at that point. And there was this other lady that 10 pounds was her average. Red fiery hair, 4th baby, no drugs. Now, he could tell me this because I didn't know this lady. He didn't give me her name. He just said that it was a current patient that was currently in L&D. And he's like, I don't know how you women do it. And I look at him and go, it's the lot. And I look at him and go, pain is temporary. That is how I look at it. Now, is pain temporary in every single aspect? No. But when you look at it from the point of view of eternity, even if you live in chronic pain, your pain is temporary. If you're destined for heaven, pain is temporary, even if you're living in chronic pain. Now, most of the pain that I go through, it's very temporary. A couple of days, week max, sure, I can live with that. Whatever, no problem. I don't suffer with chronic pain. I do suffer with migraines, but even then, the longest one I've had is a couple of days. And like I said, pain is temporary. I would rather not deal with all the side effects that comes with all the things that doctors want to prescribe for them. And so as a result, I've only had drugs with 2 of my kids. And those 2 kids are also my highest strung ones. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, I screwed up somewhere with that one. But it is what it is, and it's like the thing that I love most about this book, sorry, there's a lot of babbling, is that we are called, and I'm going to read you scripture here in a second, to call out the young men and our children and our sons specifically. I have 4 boys. I don't have any daughters. It was not in my future. It happens. Okay. So my job is to call out the men in my boys. But my job as a pastor's wife, and I'm starting to become a aged woman. I'm over the age of 30. So there's not too many people that I hang around with that are older than me. Most of my friends are, but most of the kids that I talk to, they're a lot younger than me. And my job is to call out the women in them, the biblical women in them. Because at the end of the day, if my advice is not edifying God, and I am not encouraging them to be a helpmeet to their husband, and to obey God, I'm not doing my job properly. And what I find in this book is it's calling out the young lady, the ladies and women today. And this book is meant for, 12 to 30. Ages of 12 to 30. Now, if you're 35, 40, and this book piques your curiosity, yeah, read it. You'll like it. Like I said, I will link the book. It's not an affiliate link. I will say that over and over again. It's not an affiliate link. But it is it's a fantastic book. I'm looking into buying more, like, extra copies to have on hand to just give to people, because I believe that much in this book. Am I all the way through it? No, I'm on 10 at 18 out of 21, and I've been reading it for a month. But that being said, I am a wife, a mother, a school teacher, and I use the word school teacher loosely because I'm a homeschool mom. I am a business owner, I'm a bookkeeper, I'm a debt collector, I'm a maid, I'm a chef. You name it, that's what I do on a given day. The only thing I don't do is look up part numbers. Don't believe me? Call Reliable Parts. They'll tell you. I will not look up a part number. I tell them that's why I pay their inflated overhead. And when I'm talking about overhead, I'm paying 4 times more to go them than I am to Amazon. But it is what it is. Sometimes I need that part right now. So, I won't look up a part number, but I do all the other things. I set up my husband's computer right next to mine so that it would be easier to get the reliable receipts because they email them. My husband and I are really bad with loose paper. It just disappears. So if they email him the receipts, I go on his email, I print them out, punch them, put them in the binder, put them into QuickBooks. Done. Life is done. And so it allows for a certain level of simplicity to just have his computer next to mine, and I'll bounce back and forth between the two. I don't think my husband was all on board for it until I spent an hour and a half printing off reliable receipts for him to turn around and spend the next 3 hours typing out every receipt into my QuickBooks, because I am that anal retentive. I want all of those details in QuickBooks, period. That book catches on fire, I can tell you where to look that up and what I got, when I got it, and what the reference was. Because we don't use reference numbers with Reliable. We actually just use our customer's last name. Makes things so much easier for me to find. But all of these different things, I'm pulling it from different areas, and all of this has to go, which is why it took me way longer than what other people would do. But that is my role. And my job is to call out that and other ladies to where they're just willing to jump on board. And what's funny is I have a friend who I hope watches these, that I've actually told before. Your relationship with your husband is not the norm, but it should be. What did I mean by that? It means more people need to have that husband-wife dynamic. I don't even have it at my house. Why? Because I'm a little more bullheaded than that. But that's my problem. That's something I need to work on. Does it work for us? Yeah, it does. But it doesn't look so good for the meek and quiet wife that my husband's supposed to have. So I need to let my husband have the last word. Literally the last word on every subject. Period. No fighting back. No nothing. Because this is why it is important to let your husband literally have the last word. It is his responsibility to take care of you, your needs, your family's needs, and the household. As like the big picture household. And if he's not doing that, he is the one held responsible by God, not you. So if you shut up, let your husband have the last word. If he's wrong, God will take it up with him, not you. There is a certain level of ease and simplicity in giving Matt, hey honey, this is what's going on. I have option A, B, and C. What do you think? And sometimes he'll come up with an option D or E, and he'll tell me which way to go, and I'll be like, no problem. There are things that I do that he doesn't care one way or another about. Craft shows being one of them. And so I'll go up to him and I'll be like, Matt, what do you think about me doing this show? And he'll whatever you want to do. And I'm like, yeah, but I want your opinion. Because there's been times where I'm adamant. I don't want to go to that one. Like, it's too expensive. It's too hot. It's too crowded. Yeah. Used all of those excuses for just one event. And he all but forced me to go. Like, he paid for it. He bought all the stuff that I needed. There you go. Just go. Literally twisted my arm to go. I made almost $200 that day. Yeah. I don't argue with him about going to that festival anymore, even though it's the most expensive one that I go to. Then there are other shows where he's like, that's just too far, whatever. I have my hard nose. He has his hard nose. I like his input. And I've learned that if I go with his gut, usually works out better for me in the long run. Because he looks at it as, have you been to that one before? No. Is it big? Sure, it might be, might not be, whatever. And he'll make a decision based on that. He's been doing business longer than I have. So I'm not out to make buku bucks and make a living off of my stuff. My hobbies just need to pay for themselves. So that, little bit of spending money to go buy that yard of fabric or that piece of leather over there I've been eyeballing. That's what that goes for. Now, have I bought groceries with my craft money? Mm-hmm. Why? Because that's what you're supposed to do. We have his money, her money. But it's not their traditional his money, her money. It's that money and that is over there and that account is meant for this. But this account over here doesn't have money to buy groceries today. All right. Here you go. We have groceries. Because at the end of the day, that's the important part is food and groceries. If my husband needed gas and I had the money to get it, I'd do it. Why? Because there's a lot of times that he fronts the money for shows and he won't let me pay him back. Especially when I first started. I mean, I was into it for him with like a good $300-400. And if he was asking me to pay him back, I wouldn't be able to afford to buy anything. And he knew it. You know, so for him, it was small potatoes to support me in something I wanted to do. And, hang on. And in one of the tenets here, it's actually, if you read about the Proverbs, the good lady of Proverbs, you know, she's industrious. She brings things to her home as far as bringing in some type of income, but she does it from home. Now, do I make money off of YouTube? No. I have 5 subscribers. Not even close. Do I want to make money off of YouTube? Yeah, maybe at some point. Which is why I won't ever say, I will never do ... Because I can't guarantee that later on in life I'm going to change my mind. You know, like sponsorships, I get the ins and outs of that. I've seen enough YouTube videos. I've got enough friends that deal with finance enough to where I know what's what with it. You know, and it's just one of those things. I'm looking up that virtue. I actually think it's tenet 7. A young lady seeks counsel from her nope, that ain't it. There it is. 6. A young lady understands the value of hard work. I think is where it's at. But this video is actually getting a little bit long, so I'm going to wrap it up. But this is what I want you to take from it, is that our responsibility as biblical feminists is first to our husband, then to our children and our house. Now, I'm going to point out the obvious, that before the husband is God. Always must. To me, that should go without saying. But just in case I have to say it, before husband comes God. But in the tangible things, it's my husband, my children, then my house. Period. Anything outside of that is not essential. You know, I have friends, I love my friends, but at the end of the day, we've hung up on each other because we needed to go take care of a matter within our home. Period. One of our children needed attention. Our husband needed our attention. The dog ran out the front door. You know, these are all things that we've had to deal with. It just is what it is. You know, and if we can't give each other grace to deal with that, then we have a heart issue that's all our own and not the lady that we're talking to. You know, so I'm here today to call out the biblical feminists in each and every one of you, and you know, study it out. But real quick, I did say I'd give you scripture where it says we are to do that. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God be not blasphemed. That's Titus 2, verses 3 through 5. But you notice there it says own husband and keepers at home. It means that our base of operations needs to be our home. If you are financially able to do so, as far as your base of operations be home, meaning if you could stop what you're doing and just be at home and you're choosing not to, you need to talk to God about that. Now, some people have gotten themselves in a situation where mom, wife has to go get a job. That's a whole other story, period. Also, that's between you and God too. It's none of my business. But I'm here to tell you, the Bible says over and over again, keepers at home. Your basic means of everything you do, your home base, needs to be just that, at home. Now, I'm in my camper. My house is 20 feet from the door. You know, my children can come out here at any time. The camera goes off. I address whatever it is they need to be addressed. Same thing for my husband. I am an earshot away. I am at home. You know, and in some of these videos, I'm literally in my home. In my first couple of videos, I was in my closet. Because, frankly, where else is there to film? In my house. Except my closet. Because it's the furthest I can get away from all of the noise. I have 4 boys. 5 if you count the hubs. You know? So it's like, noise is part of the territory. And when I looked at Matt, and I'm like, honey, could we, heat the camper year round? Now, this looks like turning on and off the heat in here. When we're going to be in here. But he thought it was genius. He uses the camper as our studio, too. We often loan out our camper to missionaries and friends that are in the area that need it. Why? Because we have it. You know, because we have it, we can, and therefore we should. You know, this past year, we let enough missionaries and friends use our camper to where it equaled the same amount of times as we went camping. It was great. You know, and if we can be a blessing to our church, to our missionaries in that way, that it's not a financial strain, because we're a tiny church, and I mean tiny, to pay for a hotel room or 2 for missionaries that come in, and our missionaries don't have to worry about traffic, commute, getting lost, or anything, because it's all right there. If they have dietary restrictions, there's a stove, there's a fridge, and we often stock it. And on top of that, because the camper fridge isn't that big anyway, there's a fridge and a full-size stove in the church basement. They get a key to the church as well. So we've had 7 people stay in the camper, and they spread out in the church, and they came and slept in here, and, you know, life was good. So it's one of those things where, ladies, get creative. Do you have a camper? Because, frankly, I can't tell you how many times I've come out here and read my Bible, or I've thought about bringing out my sewing machine because it's quiet. Because we all sometimes just need a minute. I'll often come out here to deal with what I would call sensitive phone calls because there's no extra ears. So, just some food for the thought for the day. I am going to get off here, get this video uploading, and start taking notes for the next one. I don't think I'll record it today, but we'll see what I get out for next week. Bye.